Hey guys, how's it going? So, as reported by the AP, over 1,900 United States military guns have been lost or stolen in the last decade. Now, if you go back and look at my channel, just a couple days ago, I did a video talking about how 2 tractor trailers were loaded up with 7 million rounds of ammunition in Mexico heading to the United States. That ammo was hijacked. Now, reading the comments, which I often do because I have really smart viewers and I enjoy reading your comments. You guys had a lot of theories, a lot of possible explanations as of who may have done it, why they may have done it, and whether that ammo will actually end up in the United States. So I did that video, went to bed, got up the next morning, and one of my viewers named Scott Plagum, thanks a lot, man, for sending that. I'm sure everyone appreciates hearing about this, so thanks, man. I read this article and I saw the title, so I'm going to share it with you guys right now. Now, I'm not trying to say that these are related to each other necessarily, anything like that, but it is quite interesting that they literally just came out with this report. So this is according to the Associated Press. Look, they're going to have some biases in here, and you guys can read the article. I'm going to leave a link down in the description. However, the results are kind of startling, and I'd like to hear you guys' opinions down in the comments on this too. It says, in the first public accounting of its kind in decades, an Associated Press investigation has found that at least 1,900 U.S. military firearms were lost or stolen during the 2010s, with some resurfacing in violent crimes. And that's certainly an undercount. So they go on to say that government records covering the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force show pistols, machine guns, shotguns, automatic assault rifles have vanished from armories, supplies, and warehouses. Navy warships and elsewhere, these weapons of war disappeared because of the security failures that until now have not been publicly reported, including sleeping troops and a surveillance system that didn't record. This is the Associated Press's words. Goes on to continue. It says, in one case, authorities linked an Army pistol stolen from Fort Bragg, North Carolina to 4 shootings in New York before it was recovered. Another stolen Army pistol was used in a Boston street robbery. Now, they're saying that this is widespread, including overseas in Afghanistan, where nearly 65 Beretta M9s were stolen, an entire Army container, and that it went undetected for weeks until they found the empty containers. Doesn't necessarily mention Mexico here, but we are talking about other countries. Now, the AP said that it had to come up with its own tally, and here's basically how they did it. You guys can read this article. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. But it says the Pentagon used to share annual updates about stolen weapons with Congress, but that requirement ended a long time ago, and public accountability has slipped. The Army and Air Force couldn't readily tell the AP how many weapons were lost and stolen from 2010 through 2019. So the AP went to build its own internal database, reviewing records, which include hundreds of military criminal case files, data from registries of small arms, as well as internal military analysis. In its accounting, whenever possible, the AP eliminated cases in which firearms were lost in combat during accidents, air crashes, and similar incidents like that, where the weapon's fate was known. And you guys know that served in the military, some weapons don't really get stolen, they just might get disintegrated if a bomb went off, if there was a crash, things like that. And those are more casualties of war rather than stolen. Supposedly the AP filtered all of that stuff out. They did note that from the start of their reporting 10 years ago, this has been going on, this reporting from the AP, the Armed Services has been very reluctant to share any of this information. Said for years the Army suppressed the release of information. And unlike the other branches, the Air Force has released no data at all. They also note that military weapons are especially vulnerable to corrupt insiders responsible for securing them. Basically talking about how there's quite a bit of money involved, and sometimes it can even be lower echelon troops that are just trying to make a buck, and they see the opportunity and they kind of have the attitude that, well, the Army can afford it or whatever, and they're just trying to make some extra money. That's one of the presumed reasons why they'd be stealing it, according to the AP. It says, theft and loss happens more often than the Army has publicly acknowledged. During an initial interview, there's a General Miller, who they said is in second command of a law enforcement in the Army. The Army's number 2 law enforcement official is how they're describing him. They're saying he significantly underestimated the extent the weapons disappear, citing records only a few hundred missing rifles and handguns. An internal analysis the AP obtained tallied 1,303 firearms. In a second interview, this General Miller said he hadn't been aware of the memo, which had been distributed throughout the Army until the AP pointed them out. So obviously the military is going to have their side of the story. The AP says they went through this 10-year rigorous analysis and they've come up with that over 1,900 firearms are, according to them, on the streets of America and other countries. We also now know there's 7 million rounds of ammunition just from this one hijacking alone. Let's also not forget, and a lot of you guys talked about this in the comments the other day, Operation Fast and Furious. That was the Obama-Biden Holder administration. You guys remember that? It was a scheme where they were actually running guns to presumed cartel and gang members to try to get them to show up in crimes throughout Mexico. And that's where Border Agent Brian Terry was killed with one of these Operation Fast and Furious firearms. Now, Brian Terry came from a small little southeastern Michigan town called Flat Rock, Michigan, a town that I actually worked in for over a decade. So the ramifications of this Operation Fast and Furious were real and presumably still are real. Now, you couple that with, and they're saying this is on the low end of accounting, according to the AP, almost 2,000 United States military firearms that are on the loose, presumably. They're wherever, right? United States, other countries, being used in crimes. That's not to mention all of the police departments that have firearms showing up missing. And here's what I'm going to add to this. I think it's awfully interesting. And you guys, again, share all your theories down in the comments, and I know you will. They're sitting there trying to take away arm braces. They're trying to reclassify firearms. What's a frame? What's a receiver? They want to serialize your barrels, your slides. All these things on the civilians, the public, we the people, just hardworking people like me and you who want to be left alone. But it sounds like they're responsible for thousands of firearms being lost, stolen, sold, trafficked, or otherwise. And it gives you something to think about, doesn't it? I know it's sure making me think. Alright guys, we'll talk about this kind of stuff more, and for those of you that are still watching, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to help out the channel, there's links for my Patreon to become a channel member, or even my Amazon link. You click on it, if you buy anything, I get a small little kickback, and it helps me, you know, to be able to buy stuff to help produce content for the channel. And I'm going to give you guys a teaser of something I'm going to show here very soon in the next couple days. There's all this talk with the stabilizing brace, the arm brace, right? This is an item that I'm going to do a video on that a lot of you probably haven't heard of. And stay tuned. I'm going to explain exactly what this is. This is not an arm brace, okay? It's not a stabilizing brace. It has its own approval, but not as a brace whatsoever. And it's also definitely not a stock. And I think a lot of you guys will be very interested in it. And I could tell you what it is, but then you'd have no reason to come back and watch the next video. So stay tuned to the channel for more videos again very soon. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a good one.